All right. Thank you very much for joining us here on Window Nation's Cowboys Overtime, where we will not talk about the Dallas Cowboys here on StarTelegram.com. I am Fort Worth Star-Telegram award-losing columnist Mac Engel, joined by my good friend who clearly got dressed to the occasion with his Texas Rangers best, Mr. Clarence E. Hill Jr., now a proud member of the SEC. Because if you can't beat them, join them.
We beat them last year. We beat them, and we beat our Alabama at Alabama. You know, we're SEC good. It's not a Texas Rangers. This is a Texas.
I know that shirt's pretty, as my daughter would say, slap. That's pretty bad. Where'd you get that? That's pretty awesome.
That's it on my fraternity QB shirt. Texas.
I got this shirt here. I stole this from my dad's closet. It's a duck playing golf, and it says "Everybody Duck." He had never worn it. He's 91.
Sound like your golf game. Hey, can you back up your camera?
Yeah, you know what? I've noticed that. The problem is on this. I've noticed that. Hang on just a second.
We want to see all that forehead.
That's a lot of forehead. I'm getting the Clarence E. Hill Jr. 8 head going. See if that works. No, I'll work on it here in a second. So, Clarence, the whole idea was I spent all this money and all this crap, and none of it worked. So we did this coming in with the idea that we were going to talk about Dallas Cowboys OTAs.
Right.
And instead, I'm just going to slouch. Instead,
there you go.
Thank you. Instead, however, the Dallas Cowboys right now don't even matter. Because right now we are Stars and Mavericks crazy, and what we should be talking about now today, here on Window Nation's Cowboys Overtime, is the Dallas Mavericks celebrating a 4-0 series sweep of the Minnesota Timberwolves, culminating last night at the American Airlines Center where you and I were. Instead, however, the Dallas Mavericks are almost in the NBA Finals for the first time since 2011. Clarence, the Mavericks have been flirting with the kind of game that we saw in Game 4 in the first 3 games. It's really close, and then they go on some ridiculous run there at the end to steal away the win in the final minute. And I thought it was going to happen. I was sure of it. It was going to happen again last night. However, Kenny, why are you just running all this stuff on us? I don't even know where we are.
Yeah, we're in the right place, Matt. Just keep going. Just keep talking.
Okay. So, Clarence, my concern is Karl Anthony Towns, the self-proclaimed greatest big man shooter ever, finally showed up last night, and he killed it. He was awesome. Mavericks now lead the series 3-1. They lost in Game 4. Are you concerned at all that this thing could go 6 or maybe even 7?
What I'm not concerned at all is that the Mavericks won't be advancing to the NBA Finals. Let's just be honest about it. Up 3-0, no team has ever come back from a 3-0 deficit. Okay, no one has done that. So all last night did was delay the inevitable, and it kills me that everybody's in panic mode. My son's all mad and upset. It's not supposed to be easy. To think that the Mavericks just had a God-given right that they should sweep this Timberwolves team, which has been the best team in the Western Conference all season, which just knocked off the defending NBA champion at home. This was not going to be easy work. And the fact that the Mavericks won 3-0, everybody made it seem like they were just such a dominant team that they could just wake up and win Game 4, and like this Minnesota team was not going to fight back. They fought back against Denver and said, well, they're going to fight back against Mavericks, and they weren't going to be perfect every game and just close it out. But at the end of the day, the Mavericks are the best team. They have the 2 best closers, and they will get Derek Lively back. I think what you saw, some of even in Game 3 and certainly a lot last night, but the missing of Derek Lively in the middle as a shot blocker, rim protector, rebounding, all the other stuff, you miss some of that.
Totally,
and that made a difference.
The part that discouraged me was, and we see this a lot now in NBA games, is that at some point, if your 3-point shot is not falling, drive the ball, move the ball. The Mavericks took 81 shots last night from the floor. 40 of them were 3-point attempts. Now, we're seeing in an NBA game now it's not uncommon for 40% of a team's shots from the floor are 3-pointers. So that's just the way the game's played now. But 40 of your 81 shots are from three, and you've only made 15 of them. Now, to Jason Kidd's defense and all the players, you and I were watching that game. It wasn't like many of those 3-pointers were bad shots.
No, they weren't falling, and that's what happens. And it's funny because you contrasted the game one when it was the Timberwolves who shot like 53s. The Mavericks shot like 18.
Yeah,
and won the game. But and they won it with in the middle, points in the paint. And again, they didn't have some of that because of the absence of Lively. So I think that should make a difference. I think Lively coming back, and he should. I would assume, I'm not a doctor, and it's interesting that they diagnosed him with a neck strain. That's the old football trick. Okay, he didn't have a concussion; he had a neck strain.
Yeah,
so keeps about a concussion protocol. The dude had a concussion.
This is the one where the guy, the Timberwolves knee.
Yes,
hit his head. Yeah, that's
in his head. That he was woozy and he was wobbling, but it was diagnosed as a neck strain. Old football trick. It's a neck. It's a neck. It's not a head. It's a neck.
Yeah, I remember watching that game because I had gone Colonial that day, the last day of Colonial, and I remember watching it, and somebody tweets out, some like NBA insider, Derek Lively's been diagnosed with a neck strain, and I tweeted back, "You misspelled concussion." I'm like, at this point, is the average NBA or sports fan that stupid? When we see that type of collision, we think anything other than dude's got a concussion. I mean, who are you kidding?
Well, no, and it's really not for fans. It's the legal protocols you have to go through. Okay? That's what it's for. But again, at the end of the day, I think this just delayed the inevitable. The inevitable is happening. Mavericks are up 3-0. They're going to close this out, whether it's game 5 or game 6. Hopefully it's game 5. And we'll talk about game 6 later because we got a little Micah thing to go on with that.
Oh, my God, the curse of Micah Parsons.
Yeah, we'll wait on that.
Okay, so this is one topic, but this is the topic that's come up. And it's a valid conversation because when the Mavericks traded for Kyrie Irving, which, I've certainly gone on like, hey, we were all wrong on that. It was, they knew, my gosh, I'm going through late onset of puberty here as my voice is cracking, but they knew that by adding Kyrie Irving to a backcourt with Luka Doncic, it could be breathtaking and one of the best backcourts ever. And now some NBA analysts, Jeff Van Gundy said it, it's come a real point of discussion is Kyrie Irving, the backcourt of Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, the best backcourt ever. Now, Paul Pierce, the Kansas guy who totally has no idea who Paul Pierce is. Like, Paul Pierce thinks he's the best player ever. And like, dude, shut up. But he's like, no, me and Ray Allen.
Most Kansas people need to shut up. I just want to get that out. Most Kansas people have that attitude.
Well, no, I mean, and the thing is, if we don't sit there and talk about our basketball program, then people like Texas, I'm not naming names, are going to sit there and strut their stuff about a football team that's won one national championship in the last 758 years, but they act like they win it every 75 seconds. So my question about isn't necessarily Kyrie and Luka as the best backcourt, but I'm trying to think of, Clarence, dynamic duos that we've seen in DFW since about 80 on that rivals this tandem. Because the one with the Mavericks, Orlando Blackman, Derek Harper, that was special. Certainly Jason Terry. But Jason Terry with Jason Kidd wasn't that championship team's combination. It was Jason Terry and Dirk was a 4, sometimes playing as a 5.
It was Dirk and the Miracles, okay?
It was.
And when you say duo, does it have to be a backcourt duo? Or
no, I'm thinking like any sport. Like, would you say, Roger and Tony Dorsett? That certainly would be in the conversation. Troy and Emmett. To me, the Dallas Stars had a lethal combination when they had Mike Modano and Joe Newendike as their top 2 centers. But it's a fun, and with the Rangers, you could go starting pitchers, middle infielders, Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. That was a killer combo.
The problem with the other sports is that unlike basketball, a twosome, a combo can make so much of a difference.
Yeah, it's 250.
Football, you can't talk Troy and Emmett without Michael. Sure. And the same thing with Tony Dorsett and Drew Pearson and the defense. They need so much other stuff
Yep.
to help. The same way in baseball, it's hard to say a twosome made a difference. Unlike basketball, this dynamic twosome. And when I think of, again, you go to the Mavericks and their twosomes, and when the Mavericks were great, I mean, it was Dirk, and you could depend on the night, it was another guy, but it was Dirk every night. When it was winning titles, and you again, you go back to, you go Derek Harper, you go Rolando Blackman, you go. My God, I can't even think he's gonna kill me.
No, those are the ones. If you look at through the history of the Mavericks, the Rolando Blackman Harper thing was special.
Well, now who was the? I mean, I can't even think of the other guy, the guy from Detroit. My mind has just gone blank.
You took Mark Aguirre?
Mark Aguirre.
But Clarence, Mark Aguirre didn't want to be here.
No, I understand that, but when he came, as a scorer, he was a dynamic scorer. You're talking about a combo of dynamic score, dynamic playmaking together. And I guess you could really say maybe not Steve Nash and Dirk early in their career.
That's what the one that when I got into this, sort of went down this rabbit hole in this conversation, the one that jumped off the page to me is, and I'm not thinking locally, but I'm thinking nationally in the NBA, it was Kyrie Irving when he was with LeBron James.
Well, see, Kyrie was
time out. This is why. LeBron James, everybody wants to compare LeBron James to Michael Jordan, and it's not the same guy. LeBron James was more like a Magic Johnson than he was a Michael Jordan. Yes. And to me, when I look at Luka Doncic, who's cranking out triple doubles, like, most people go to the mail to get their, mailbox to get their mail, like it's nothing to him. And to me, that's the biggest comp, because LeBron and Luka are built, both 6'8", 6'9", big, muscular, heavy guys, and they can do anything they want. They're phenomenal scorers, basketball IQs to Mars. They see everything. They can make passes that nobody else can make. And then you've got Kyrie Irving, who's as good a ball handler who's ever existed, who now has a dynamic mid-range game and is as good a finisher that's ever lived. And to me, those are the best ones that I've seen in the last 20 years.
Yeah, and I would get it. I'm not going to push back too much, because I think Magic couldn't score like these two guys. No. And I think that the difference between Luka.
No, but hang on. Do you think Magic could have scored?
No, he was not a shooter. He could not score. I mean,
he wasn't a shooter.
A 3-point shot to late in his career. Yep. I mean, I watched him from.
You're right.
State.
No, you're right.
He wasn't the same type of scorer. And the thing that I love about Luka that I think LeBron got dinged for is Luka is very unselfish, but he's also very selfish, and he knows how to hunt for his shot. And LeBron, oftentimes early in his career, was too unselfish and did not use the mismatch that he was. Certainly, you go back to the Mavericks title. He had Jason Terry on it. Dude, just take Jason Terry and back him down to the goal and dunk on him every time. And Luka, yes, he's a great passer, but he also maximizes his mismatch against smaller guards and everything else. And his mismatches also help him make those great passes, because he gets it a lot in the lane a lot, and he can kick it out because he's big. He's a big player.
I've never seen anybody, Clarence, who does what he does, which is if he's got a defender on his side or on his hip, and the way he uses his body to get that guy behind him, and he's so good at boxing out a guy with the ball in his hands to either get a good shot, a lob pass. Like, we're not even talking about one.
And create fouls. He creates fouls. I mean, he hunts fouls too, and he puts people in foul trouble. So that's all part of his package. But I would say this, that I think that when people talk about twosomes and scoring twosomes, Kevin Durant and Steph Curry on their run to the finals, people forget as far as they weren't a backcourt, because everybody wants to bring Clay as the backcourt. But at dominant twosome scoring, Kevin Durant.
When you watch one of the more enjoyable quarters of basketball I've ever watched, as we talk about these guys, and I could talk basketball all day, but one of the most enjoyable quarters of basketball I've ever watched was Game 1 of the NBA Finals between the Warriors and the Cavaliers, when it was Kyrie's last year with Cleveland. And it was Game 1, so they were all fresh. It was KD, Curry, Draymond was a part of it, Irving, LeBron, and Klay Thompson, and they were all killing it in that quarter. It was amazing. It was amazing basketball.
Yeah, it was amazing basketball, and really, and I know Kyrie gets credit for the shot, and they won that. If Draymond doesn't get suspended, that series is over.
Yeah, you're probably right. All right, We've got a lot more to talk about here on Cowboys Overtime. We're going to talk about a Dallas Cowboys player who is currently killing the Dallas Mavericks. Candy, send it to Window Nation.
Window Nation, the star of window replacement and proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys, can help you fill the house this season with savings. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and make no interest payments for 60 months, 5 full years. Fill your house for a customized authentic Dallas Cowboys jersey while supplies last. You could even help fill the Cowboys house and win tickets to a game. Visit windownation.com/Cowboys now for details. Call 866-95-NATION. Window Nation, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
No.
In defensive Candy, you usually set it up by saying,
I know.
now we're going to go to our sponsor. Now we're going to say what you never said, Window Nation.
I know. Now it's my fault. Do not be making excuses for a proud, distinguished SMU alum. Like, what do they teach you at that school, Candy? Good God. All right. So I went to the Dallas Stars game 2 of their Western Conference final series against the Edmonton Oilers. It was a big to-do because Taylor Swift's boyfriend and Harrison Butker's teammate was in attendance. Travis Kelce was there, the Kansas City Chiefs tight end. He was there. He was there with some teammates. Former Rangers pitcher Cole Hamels was there. And the Stars won the game to tie the series. Then the next night, the Mavericks are hosting game 3 of the Western Conference Finals. Patrick Mahomes is there. Pride of White House, Texas Tech. Apparently he plays for the Chiefs as well. Travis Kelce is there, along with Hollywood Brown. Mavericks win. So now let's go to game 4 last night. Who shows up? A bunch of Dallas Cowboys. Then the Mavericks lose. Clarence, the evidence is the evidence. One moment I'll call on you. Bunch of Cowboys shows up. Local teams lose. Let's just call it what it is. They're a jinx and a curse. You can defend him, as apparently Micah Parsons is now trading shoes with Anthony Edwards of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Trayvon Diggs is now a big hockey fan.
Okay, so there you go. So there you go. Diggs was at the hockey match. Okay, Diggs was courtside.
You call it a hockey match?
Game, whatever. He was at hockey.
Did you know
they lost?
They lost the game that he attended.
Okay, he went. Okay, secondly,
he went, but they lost.
Secondly, you guys don't understand. Just because you're not courtside don't mean you're at the game. There were plenty of Cowboys in the house Sunday. Okay, Ezekiel Elliott was in a suite. He was just not courtside. Okay,
they've already kicked him up to a suite.
He was in a suite. He
wasn't even courtside. We're talking about one of the greatest all-time.
And so in addition,
can't even get courtside seats.
And it's funny on courtside on Sunday. You had Queen Latifah. You missed Queen Latifah.
Yep. She was there with Shaq.
Okay. Myles Garrett was there.
Yep.
One Amari Cooper was there.
Friend of Kirk Cousins. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, Amari Cooper was there, former Cowboy, and DeMarcus Ware was there. He was on courtside.
Oh, I didn't see. Well,
I know you didn't. Yeah, DeMarcus Ware was there courtside.
The biggest one was Queen Latifah, by far.
But about that, Shaq and Shaq did a duet. But getting back to Micah Parsons, yes, Micah Parsons wanted to point out and wanted known, and this is true because I saw him. He was courtside for the closeout game against Oklahoma City, and they won. So
he's 1-1 in closeout games.
No, I'm just saying.
500 is not going to do it in closeout games, brother.
The narrative, which we get these narratives that the Cowboys, they got that loser jinx, and that's why they lost. Stop it already.
Is Micah Parsons continuing on with his boxing career?
You know what? I talked to
in town. Is he training to fight Jake Paul at the end of the month after Tyson fights him?
Mike Tyson won't be able to box, so I think he had some flight issue. There's a question about his health. Since he had an emergency issue, a medical issue on a flight. But that's
because he's 57 years old.
Well, he's fighting. Okay.
So is Micah Parsons? Is he practicing football now?
He is. I talked to Micah Parsons last night, and Micah Parsons was at OTAs this morning, attending his first OTAs. He said he was working on his craft. He had to work on his craft by himself, and he needed that time away to work on his craft. I know he was in China, and I know he was in Japan, but it was also about working on his craft. And he can't do that with his with the rest of the team. Okay.
Oh my God! For the longest time I thought
He compared it to a free throw to a basketball player in the offseason working on his free throw shooting. I had to work on a specific part of my game. There's not enough time in the day. These are his words, not mine. Not enough time in the day doing those OTAs and all this stuff. We got all this other stuff you're doing. You're lifting weights that you can't just work on a specific part of his game. So he had to go into his dungeon, even though he was in China and Japan and wherever, and do his thing in addition to the boxing when he got back. So he's back. He's ready to go. He's not missing anything. He's in great shape. He's going to consume Mike Zimmer's new defensive scheme with the rest of his teammates now. He's good to go. He's not upset about the contract. He just had to get away to work on his craft.
Okay, so there are two humdinger lies that we've heard here the last 72 hours. After the Mavericks Game 3 win against Minnesota, Karl Anthony Towns says, you know what? I take 1,500 shots a day. 1,500 shots a day. That's on top of –
That's a lie.
Hang on.
That's cap.
It's not a lie. It's cap.
You know what cap is?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I don't appreciate that.
I know Draymond Green did that to Ernie, on TNT.
And Ernie busted it.
Ernie, like, man, come on.
Yep.
Ernie Johnson. I've been doing this.
I loved Ernie's reaction, which is, why would you not think I know that?
Yeah.
Yes, I learned that when I was in college. So this idea that Micah Parsons had to be away to work on his craft, yeah, that's cap. That is Karl Anthony Towns taking 1,500 shots a day. That is a young man who is graced by God with physical skills that most of us can't even conceive. Yep, that's right. The next time you see Micah Parsons, if he brings that up, you hand him that cap.
Okay.
That's what that is.
That's cap. But
The
biggest issue here with Micah before we move on.
Okay.
So he's at the game in Luka Doncic's jersey. He has Anthony Edwards shoes on. And Mavericks fans are going crazy. Why are you wearing Edwards shoes? He said, I'm supporting Luka, but I'm a Adidas sponsored athlete. I'm a brand ambassador. So these are Adidas shoes. Okay. That's why he wore them.
There's nothing wrong with that.
The problem here is that Ant saw him, and Ant did what he did in Denver. I'm going to bring you another pair when I come back for Game 6. Anthony Edwards told the locker room attendant in Denver after they lost Game 5, I'll see you at Game 7. And he won 2 straight Game 7 and came back and won the series.
I love that.
So if Ant brings Micah some shoes back, the Mavericks are in trouble.
And I want to talk about this for a second. Poor Anthony Edwards. After he killed it in games 1 and 2 against Denver. Everybody's like, oh, he's the next Jordan. I'm like, God, he didn't want any part of that smoke. None of it. No one should.
Yeah, but
hang on. Just let me finish this thought. You can run with it. Michael Jordan didn't win a championship until his 7th season. Anthony Edwards is in his 4th year. The guy's a sensational player. And I know by the time I think Jordan won an MVP in his 3rd or 4th year. And I get it, but the league is different. There's more teams now. There's better play, all that stuff. I want to give Anthony Edwards a little bit of a break on this one. I love the guy. I love watching him play. He's awesome. He's so damn good. But I'm like, just slow down on this. No player wants that headache. And I'm like, just give him a little bit of time. Now, Karl Anthony Towns, give him all the crap you want because the idiot sitting there is like, oh, I'm the greatest big man shooter ever. Like, no, you're not. Shut your mouth. But with Anthony Edwards, I'm like, give him a little bit of room.
Well, we will give him room, but he's also the Anthony Edwards that was doing this to Kevin Durant and mocking Kevin Durant. You can't do
that to KD. KD.
I'm just saying, if you're gonna bring it, he did the same thing in Denver. He was waving by to the fans, and jokers told him, "Hey man, why you gonna do that to the fans?" He has a little cockiness to him, so we're not gonna feel sorry for him. I mean,
I'm not talking about feeling sorry for him.
We're gonna listen. If you can talk trash, you can take it, and that comes with the dinner. And
I'm with you.
That great player. He had the dunk of the night the other day, and look,
that dunk looked like the Michael Jordan Jumpman logo.
No, it was awesome.
It was incredible.
He's a spectacular player. His time is going to come. The West is deep. That's why you can't take things for granted. And you can say, and well, if he doesn't win this year, he's going to win it the next couple of years. Well, you don't know. We thought John Morant was on the brink, and the things that, so you don't know. You got to take advantage of your opportunity.
You better win.
How many times has Chris Paul thought, man, I'm gonna get it to next year? He went to the final with Phoenix and think, okay, I got a taste of him to come back. He hasn't gone back. If
your window's now,
nothing is promised.
You better look at Dirk.
Yeah.
Look at all these guys. It's really, really, really hard. Okay, let's move on. We got a couple more things to talk about before we wrap this up. You mentioned it. Former Dallas Cowboys wide receiver Amari Cooper, COVID-friendly Amari Cooper. Apparently, there was to see his anti-vax buddy Kyrie Irving on Game 4 at the Mavericks game last night, and you had a chance to chat with him. And apparently, there's this thing going around that Amari Cooper called Dak Prescott the Black Kirk Cousins. It's a good line.
And it's a great line. That's why people believed it. It was,
come on. Kirk Cousins is a good pro. But Dak Prescott,
he doesn't win primetime games. Doesn't win playoff games. He doesn't win big games. He's a solid
Prescott
pro.
Is better than Kirk Cousins.
Huh?
Dak Prescott is better.
No, it is. But the problem here is that after allegedly, supposedly, and clearly it was a lie. After the Cowboys lost to the 49ers in 2021, right before he was traded in the spring of 2021. Yeah.
Okay.
They got to, this rumor was, or not rumor, someone posted a erroneous account that Dak and Cooper got into in the post-game locker room, and Cooper called Dak out for his play and he called him the Black Kirk Cousins. Then that made Dak go off and it got this big tough. None of it happened.
I don't believe in that.
But just like anything, just like some of the stuff with AI now, people are just creating fake things, and there's so many fake stuff out there, like NBA Centel, and make these fake memes and news reports. There's Dak's following, or people who follow the Cowboys are so split on Dak, and some people love him, some people hate him, some people think he can't walk and chew gum at the same time. There are people out here who actually believe that Amari Cooper said this, and it took on a life of its own.
And
to know Amari Cooper, knows that's not even how he talks. No. That's not how he acts. One reason why the Cowboys didn't, soured on him is because he was too laid back. So this doesn't even fit that.
You know what? There's this. I really liked Amari Cooper.
Yes,
I really did. And he was a guy I wish I had had a chance to talk with a little bit more, because the time that I did get, when I was around him, was in kind of a group, but I was really impressed by him. He's a really bright guy. And my thought with him, I had written it because one of his teammates had told me, he said the coaches didn't like him because he had all these other interests. And this idea, like my time I spent with him, that is the last guy in the world who would have said that alleged statement about Dak Prescott. Amari Cooper's not going to say that. He's not going to say that.
But
he might have commented about cars or investments or any other.
Yeah, investments, all of this stuff is funny.
Nothing. He was never. The part that and you've talked about it 100 times. The fact that of all the moves that they've made recently, the fact that they white flagged that guy, and I understood the whole anti-vax thing, and I get that, and that's polarizing, and yada yada yada, and I understood it, but I'm like, if you want to win, that guy was a pro, and he was going to age well because he's a great route runner, and you've got him, and you dumped him, you punted him to Cleveland for what, a 5th round pick?
A 5th round pick, and he has continued to play well.
With whoever his quarterback is.
Yes, he had 5 different quarterbacks last year. He had his career best season in yards last year.
Yep.
And certainly CD has blossomed to the #1 receiver, but the Cowboys still have not replaced Amari Cooper as his sidekick, and that has really hurt this offense the past couple of years.
And CD Lamb doesn't have the season he has, or the last two, and Amari Cooper been there. They would have taken away from each other, but they would have complemented each other as well. And that one still bothers me to this day, because they gave up on him no different than the Raiders did, because he wasn't a football guy, all about football all the time, and football. I'm like, dude, he was a good player. He was a pro. He produced, and you gave up on him because he wanted to go out and enjoy his life in the. I mean, that drove me crazy.
It makes no sense. So I had to ask him. I hadn't seen him in 2 years. I haven't had a chance to talk to him. I had to ask him about it. He laughed. He said, because he saw it. Like everybody saw, the whole world saw it.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And so he just got a kick out of it. But he also said that, Dak is the one that saved his career. Coming to the Cowboys saved his career because he had been, things had gone downhill in Oakland, and coming to the Cowboys, the breath of fresh air. So he has nothing but love for Dak Prescott.
Last thing we're going to talk about, the local hockey team. Dallas Stars are closing in on completing what would be a historic spring, assuming the Mavericks close out the Timberwolves in either games 5, 6, or God forbid 7. The Dallas Stars lead the Edmonton Oilers 2-1 after winning Game 3 in impressive fashion, where forward Jason Robertson woke up for the dead to score a hat trick in the city that Wayne Gretzky built. The Dallas Stars, in my mind, were the clear favorites to win this game and advance to the Stanley Cup final for the first time since 2020, when they ultimately lost to the Tampa Bay Lightning in 6 games. Clarence, let's see how well you know your sports history.
Don't.
When was the last time an arena that featured an NBA team and an NHL team hosted both the NBA's finals and the Stanley Cup finals in the same spring?
Had to be Lakers and Kings.
Lakers and Kings. Good guess. Want to take another one? I'll give you. You're in this. No, you're on the wrong coast.
Okay, I got to be on the wrong coast.
Yeah. That's the hard
NBA.
one.
Well, then it has to be Boston, the Bruins and Celtics.
Nope. They
No?
didn't. Nope. Wasn't them. I thought it was Boston too, because you remember there was a run there with the Bruins, Red Sox, certainly Patriots, and who else am I missing?
Same arena.
Same arena. I'll give you a hint.
Has to be a New York team then.
I'll give you a hint. The Mavericks' current head coach was a member of the team.
So the Nets.
So the New Jersey Nets in 2003, with Jason Kidd as the starting point guard, went to the NBA Finals. They played in the Continental Airlines Arena. They're in the Meadowlands, which is now no longer in use. And in fact, the Nets no longer play in New Jersey. They've since moved to Brooklyn. So the New Jersey Nets went to the NBA Finals, where they lost to Greg Popovich's San Antonio Spurs in 6 games. That same spring, the NHL's New Jersey Devils went all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals, where they won in Game 7 against the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, a team that was quite the underdog. And the reason why I know that is because they eliminated the Dallas Stars in the Western Conference semifinals. That was a huge upset. I know that because I covered the series. And that was it. The other one that was of significance, and this is the fun one, in 1994, the New York Knicks made it all the way to the NBA Finals against the Houston Rockets, the same spring as the New York Rangers won the Stanley Cup Finals. Now, why is that playoff series and spring of certain cultural significance, not just in sports history, but in American pop culture history?
That's because of the OJ ride, son. That was OJ. It was the Bronco chase. Of course.
Do you remember where you were watching the NBA Finals?
Yes, I was in Victoria, Texas, in front of my TV.
I was a junior at Kansas, finishing up a summer school class, and I remember my roommate and I were watching the Rockets play the Knicks. The game was in Madison Square Garden, and then NBC keeps going to the OJ chase, and my roommate turns to me and says, "You know what? I don't think we're ever going to see OJ Simpson alive after tonight."
Wow.
Little did we know.
But just getting back to the brink of history here, this will be the first time the Mavericks and the Stars have made certainly the Western Conference Finals, now potentially NBA Finals for the first time together, and to have the Rangers winning in the same calendar year.
Isn't that crazy?
We
the
city of champions without the Cowboys.
The killer is the Cowboys had a really good year.
Yes, they had a good year. It was a playoff team.
12-5.
People act like they were 5-12 instead of 12-5.
Yeah.
You would
They
think
really did have a good year. And you know what? University of Texas went to national semifinals. They won the playoff game. They almost won the playoff game. So I mean, it's been an amazing year. So it's not just for players, but for fans and media too. This doesn't happen all the time. So if it's happening, you better enjoy it.
It's
I'm going to ask you this question because I wrote this after the Stars won Game 2. If you are a Stars fan, this is great. Your team's rolling, but it's hockey. And there's one part to this that's kind of tough. you have to share the same stage with the NBA team. And I'm like, every time the NBA team is going to blow the hockey team out of the water. And it does seem to me a little bit the Stars sharing the stage right now with the Mavericks has not dampened, but it's just people are going to pay more attention to basketball than they are hockey. Am I right or wroong?
Oh, you're right. And I read your column, and I saw you wrote that before the game. It seemed like you wrote that,
No, I wrote it based on whether
then you added some game stuff in the middle of it. I was checking your crafting out. I said he wrote this before. He already this idea. He went to the game with this idea in his head.
I did. Well, in fairness, I went to the game last night with an idea. They shot that one to hell real loud.
Went to the game with an idea. But I read it. It was cool. Yeah, you're right. I mean, and the thing about it is, it's not just NBA. It's the coming of age, Luka, larger than life. It's the Kyrie story. It has just swept the nation and certainly swept DFW. And just talking to people, I mean, I was talking to someone last. There is a Mav mania going on right now in Dallas Fort Worth.
Yep.
And it's amazing to see. And
you think it's bigger than 2011? I don't think it's as big as 11.
No, they haven't won yet.
No, I mean, I'm talking about
but they had never won
that playoff run. Like, remember when Dallas, when they.
But in 2011, we expected it to be good. What's happened here after not making the playoffs last year? People questioning after even in March when you didn't even know what this team was going for. No one saw this coming.
No, they remember
coming.
Nobody did. No, nobody did.
It's certainly not at the start of the season.
No, oh God, no. But if you look at it in like mid-March, Clarence, they were really close. They were gonna make the playoffs, but they were really close to the play-in game.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So what they've done, the run they've been on to come out of nowhere, really nowhere. They weren't a favorite to get to the you get to the finals, and I think if they get to the finals, they're going to win it. I mean, I like Boston.
I think you're right.
But unlike Minnesota, Boston doesn't have any big men. Who's going to stop them inside?
I think it's entirely depending on what Kristaps Porzingis does and whether or not A, he comes back, and B, how effective he is. This is a different guy.
Yeah, but he's still going to have to shooting 3 pointers. He's not going
to No, he went to Washington and he had to come to Jesus with whomever. Watch him play now. I really mean this. I was talking to some NBA guys about this the other night. Him getting kicked out of Dallas and traded to the wasteland that is Washington, and then the fact that Brad Stevens brought him up to Boston and the way they've worked with him, he's a different guy, and he gives them a dimension that it wasn't a question of talent or ability with Porzingis. It was a question of whether or not he could stay healthy. And if he comes back, which I don't know if he is, I mean, there's still we still got like 8 months before they play the NBA Finals. That gives them a different dimension. I think you're right. I think Dallas can beat Boston, but Porzingis is going to be.
No, it's not going to be easy, but I think they have the athletic wings to stay with Tatum and Brown. And again, what Minnesota has inside and some other teams have inside, they don't really have the rim protector that's going to keep Luka and Kyrie out the lane.
I think you're right. All right, we've talked forever. This has been a lot of fun. Clarence, I appreciate the props, the fact that you brought in the Micah Parsons cap. All right, for all of your.
This is when the Cowboys built the stadium. This is one of the hard hats they had.
Oh, look at you. That's nice. I'll see that on eBay in a month. For all of your Stars coverage needs, Dallas Mavericks, Texas Longhorns, anybody else, check us out on StarTelegram.com. Thank you, Window Nation. Thank you, Clarence. Thank you, Candy. See you next week.